Hello and welcome back to the X-Files Revisited. We are on to episode 11 of season 6, Two Fathers, which is heavy into the mythology, I would say. It's been a proper while, I guess, I
Uh,
suppose, since we've had a really in-depth one. And, you know, let me ask you this question first off. What do you know what the ratings were like for X-Files at this time? Any
uh,
was there a bigger increase? Was it new fan base?
they were pretty good. I believe the
Right.
ratings. I mean, I off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you without looking it up, but
Yeah.
I believe that after the movie, it did create a little bit of an upsurge of
Uh-huh.
viewers and whatnot. So we can.
Because
I
it
know. I know the beginning, like the first episode of season 6, was like one of the highest
hmm.
viewing figures. I mean, certainly of this season, it had the highest viewing figures.
This is we're deep into the mythology here. We've not really touched on it too much this season. We've
Mm.
had one episode or a couple episodes really into it, and I feel as if it plays like an almost recap of everything that's came before.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we get the voiceovers or we go to the smoking man, it feels like here's backstory. Here's like it's like a let's catch you up to where we are for all the newbies that are here that have never really experienced this kind of thing before.
To me, it feels like they are making a concerted effort to almost wrap up the mythology in
Oh,
its current form in order
right.
to spin it off in a new direction, which they kind of do in.
Oh,
Um,
oh, right.
I mean, certainly by season 8, the mythology is like just completely different. They've gone in a completely different direction. But I feel
Right.
like here they're wrapping up a lot of loose ends with regards to what the mythology was. Then in season
Mhm.
7, they kind of wrap up the Samantha
Oh, right.
stuff,
Uh-huh.
but it's not like, I mean, that's totally not what you're going to be expecting. I'll put it that way. It's either going to be a nice surprise or real disappointment. I kind of enjoy it, but so yeah, I feel like all the mythology stuff in this season and season 7, it's almost an attempt to really just
Mm,
wrap it up, but kind of kickstart something new. Um,
mm.
and
So,
like for me personally, it's kind of where it starts to fall apart. Not necessarily here, but like within this next couple of seasons is where
yeah,
it starts to fall apart.
because before we
Um,
get into the episode, I feel it was like a really kind of funny episode because it could feel like either a catch up for everybody that hadn't really been here previously, because there's lots of information, there's lots of callbacks, there's lots
yeah.
of characters that haven't really been in this season. But like you say, it,
Mm.
it can feel like a conclusion as well, like an almost series finale, because it's got all these kind of callbacks and it's wrapping up this one story.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, particularly by the time you get to the end of the second part, it does feel like
Just to
they've.
interject for a moment, I did forget this was a two-parter. Yeah, again, just to keep that streak going.
Oh man! So, by the time we get to the end of the second part, it does feel like they've put a lot of nails in
Right.
into the building work. Like it's just like a lot of stuff is pretty much done with and wiped off the board by the time we get to the end of it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, this is part one. Be interested to see overall where we end up on this, but
Yeah.
where do you think it ranks in the 217 episodes on IMDb?
Hmm. Um, these are the ones I find the hardest to give a score to because I feel that they are quite dependent on the second episode. If it lands, then it kind
Mm.
of pushes both the episodes up. If it doesn't, it can bring them down. I will be, let's see, it's mythology. It's mythology after, I'd say, a drought. I'm going to go 47.
It's 32.
Oh, right.
It's 32.
Mm.
Okay. So I
Okay,
do
okay.
think I do think the fact that it's mythology and the fact that it's really heavy mythology, like
Oh yeah, yeah,
as you say, they're just, it's almost like a tick box of everything that we've had so far, and
yeah,
let's cram it in. I'll admit up front, this back in the day, this was one of my go-to two-parters.
right.
I'd look forward to watching this one just because there is so much of what I like in it. We've got Krychek back, we've got
Yeah.
the conspirators, we've got the
Mm.
the bounty hunters, we've got Mulder kind of chasing stuff to do with his sister. It's just, there's so much in here that it's like, this is all the boxes you could tick for an X-Files
Yeah.
nerd. So whether it all coalesces as a coherent whole by the end of the second part, we'll see, I guess.
Mm.
But we open up on a train car operation, very much like the one that we saw in the two-parter Nisai and 731. So right there, right off the back,
Yeah.
call back to a previous episode. And we have Dr. Openshaw arriving to congratulations for 25 years of work that has now apparently, it seems, come to fruition. It's then when he goes in and he checks the work of this patient that they've been working on, that one of the faceless aliens from last season's two-parter, Patient X and the Red and the Black, shows up and burns everyone, just takes everyone out, except for the patient, who happens to be none other than Cassandra Spender.
Yeah.
Got to opening credits.
Yeah. Cassandra Spender. God damn.
You don't care about this character at all, do you?
I cannot stand her, Brian. Just something about this woman. Yeah, my teeth on edge. just I'm like, oh, it's all fantastic. It's, in the train car, we're getting this weird surgery with the green ooze coming out the belly as they kind of cut it with a laser, and look at the faceless aliens, and it's all building up, and then Cassandra. Yay!
Insufferable wench. Is it not because of her attachments to Jeffrey Spender?
It could be, yeah.
Do you think it's because if Cassandra's in this, then I know this is going to feature Jeffrey quite heavily, and I can't stand that guy.
Can't stand that guy. I also found, like, whenever Cassandra's there, it gets a little bit lost in itself, the episodes, I feel. They are mythology heavy, but I feel they get a little bit too preachy as well.
So we go from there to Cancer Man, talking about the end and building things. So he's basically got this, he's talking to someone. We can't see who he's talking to, but he's basically telling them about his disappointments and his failures and this, that, and the other. He's being quite open with whoever this person is. He seems to be laying a lot of cards on the table in a way that seems weird, to be honest. I'm not used to seeing Cancer Man being this open about his life and the things he's done and feelings and all that. But he's talking about secretly preparing the way for an alien invasion, creating a slave race of alien-human hybrids, which goes into what you were saying about rehashing stuff, because this is kind of stuff that we already know, but it's come from other quarters and stuff. The fact that this is literally Cancer Man himself laying it out is like, okay, this is everything that we've seen in the past. He's gonna like kind of qualify here, and so we can find out which of it's BS and which of it is true. And so so they've been creating a slave race of alien-human hybrids, and the alien rebels destroyed those plans. And then he ends by saying that his son betrayed him. Now, we know that his son, obviously, is Jeffrey Spender. So we're like, ooh, okay. So now we're going to flash back, and it's like, how's Spender going to betray Cancer Man? So that creates a little bit of intrigue.
But the thing is like, so Cancer Man's the big bad guy. He's the puppet master pulling all the strings. Spender's just like a douchebag wannabe Fox Mulder who's just terrible. And you think the fact that he's going to betray Cancer Man would be a redeeming point for him, but it just makes me dislike him even more. That he doesn't even have loyalty in him, Brian. Like, he doesn't even have that. He's a snivelling snail of a person.
Well, I mean, it depends how that betrayal's going to come about, I guess.
No.
I mean,
No.
for me, it does. It's like, is he going to get brought into Cancer Man's world and then be so power trippy and power hungry that he wants to take what Cancer Man has for himself? So is he going to have his own plans? Or is he going to betray him for the right reasons, which is that he realizes what kind of man his father is and decides, if it's the last thing I do, I'm going to do the right thing. It all depends for me, but I mean, we'll get there when we get there. So Skinner goes to see Spender and tells him that he has no real interest in the X-Files. Says he's come to see him about his mother. So he basically challenges Spender and says, "Look, I know you're just sitting here dicking about, doing anything you can to squander your time rather than actually investigating X-Files." Spender's like, almost, whatever.
Yeah.
But then Spender's kind of expression suddenly pricks up as soon as his mother is mentioned, because they go to see the train car that was lit up on fire, and Spender sees his mum and asks what happened to her. She asks to speak to Mulder, but Spender tells Skinner to keep Mulder out of it. Kind of feels very reminiscent of Patient X.
Yeah.
And the Red and the Black.
Yeah, very much.
It's like, if you think of like the Red and the Black, when obviously when the bridge is all burnt and there's all the burnt out corpses, and Spender turns up with Skinner, and it's like, where's my mum? It's a little bit like that. It's kind of almost like a replay of that, but there's almost like a power shift dynamic in the sense that this time Cassandra is a bit more aware of what's gone on, what's happened, and she's a bit more resolute in what she wants to say and who she wants to say it to, I guess.
Which I think is incredibly funny, like because I don't like Spender anyway, but the fact that he rushes to see his mum after being like away for ages, and she's just like, I'd rather have Mulder. Look, and whenever he's with his dad's just always talking about Mulder, and he's got like this like syndrome of just everybody's just comparing him to someone who he just doesn't match up to. Good, quite rightly so as well.
Just to rub it in,
Just rubbing it in, yeah.
So Cancer Man, with his voiceover again, says, "My son refused to believe in alien life. When he did, he turned to Mulder." And then we see Mulder, who is shooting a basket, showing that he's got game. Mulder's got a bit of game. He's
it's a cheating game, but he's got game. Yeah, he cheats. Everybody calls him out on it. He just doesn't care. He does a little bit of
he shoots a basket. Yeah. He gets a basket from pretty far away.
Yeah, but it's a like, even the guy says that you can't do that, and then Scully says to him, like, "I believe you cheated there, Mulder," and he's just like, "Yeah." That's after he's drops in some street slang because he's down with it. Yeah. And it makes me wonder. It's like this guy just completely gave up on work. Every time we see him, he's doing almost anything but work. I mean, she's there because nobody can get a hold of him. Like, he's just like the FBI looks like they've got Spender who's just sitting there shredding whatever comes in, not caring. Back talking to the assistant directors. We've got Mulder who's doing like pretty much whatever the hell he wants, and nobody's caring.
Playing games.
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah. So Mulder shoots a basket, much to Scully's chagrin. She tells him that Spender wants to see him about his mother.
It's good that they need you for an X-File case. and you can tell he's instantly like yes, but outside he's just kind of like maybe I'm not interested. You know,
To me, it's
you're like,
more of a. It's more of a, oh man, I'm already thinking of the billion ways I could piss Spender off. So it's just going to go in there with 200 theories and just literally rip him a new one, which is essentially what he's about to do. So Mulder sees Spender. Spender cannot bring himself to ask. Says he just wants the truth. So yeah, basically this is... Mulder goes in and he essentially taunts him. He's like,
yeah, it's almost like
basically
beg me to speak to her.
beg
Spender.
Yeah, because Spender's like talking about his mum in ways, and you can tell that like he kind of needs to ask Mulder to go and see his mum, but he doesn't want to ask Mulder to go and see his mum, and Mulder can sense that, he smell it, and so he's almost like, are you gonna just ask? Are you gonna ask? Just ask. And you can see him just like digging the screws in. Spender kind of essentially has an attitude of, look, personally, I couldn't give a toss. It's my mum who wants to see you, but fine. I just want the truth. Right. So do what you want. Cancerman sees... he's definitely crying inside. You can see it. He wants to spit his dummy out and have a bit of a meltdown on the floor. Cancerman sees a burnt Openshaw, who tells him that Cassandra was a success. Cancerman has a genuine shocked look on his face. And then Cancerman reluctantly kills Openshaw. So he basically, he knows that Openshaw needs to die because if anyone learns that Cassandra was a success, then apparently the doo-doo is going to hit the fan. But I actually get the sense here from this moment that this is something Cancerman does reluctantly, like as if this is a genuine friend, as if this is someone that he doesn't take any pleasure in snuffing out.
Which, I don't know if I quite get this one, because even Openshaw's like this, like she needs to die. Like he knows that she, like a success, but we need to like neutralize her.
Yeah.
So like, I don't see him like running about. Well, I don't know. Just But the effects on the guy in the burn unit is great. Like the messed up body and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I did remember this guy, Brian.
What, Cancerman?
Yeah, I knew I'd seen him somewhere before. He's been in an episode somewhere. No, Openshaw. I remembered him.
Openshaw. Yeah, you remembered him from the opening scene.
Oh, I remembered him from a previous episode.
He was in a previous episode?
Yeah, I'm sure he was. Was he not? If I remember someone who wasn't. Yeah.
I don't remember him being in a previous episode.
I'm sure he was in a previous episode. I'm going to have a look once we're done and I'll get back to you about that. But yeah.
I'm sure this is the first time we've seen Openshaw, but, whatever. Cancerman says, is it Cancerman or is it Openshaw who says a man should never live long enough to see his children or his work destroyed, which is kind of the theme, really, of not just this episode, but the whole two-parter, really. It's, it's about fathers, it's about sons, it's about legacy. A syndicate member, one that you should recognise, he has been in several episodes. Syndicate member receives a call from Cancerman, who's called a meeting, but he's then killed by one of the rebels, who basically arrives at his door, comes in, grabs him by the neck, and then sets him ablaze. So that's one syndicate member down. Mulder looks at photos from the crime scene. He tells Scully he thinks it's a setup. When Scully sees the photos, she gets really interested. And Mulder is still reluctant, but Scully is the one who pushes him. So obviously she sees a lot here in regard to what she went through. like if you look back to Nisai and 731, which again, I mean, when I say that,
Yeah.
I think about what you were saying with regards to new fans, and I think all the new fans that have been built up through like the numerous comedy episodes that we've had at the start of this season, suddenly, boom, they come into Two Fathers. Like if they've literally just gone from the movie and then Two Fathers is the first like real straight back into mythology, all of this is just going to be like, what the hell? But for Scully, she's seen this train car before, not just in this Science 731, but possibly the fact that she could have been in one of these things, experimented on herself. So as soon as she sees that setup, she's like all over this. She definitely wants to know more about what's going on here. But Mulder he feels like, nah, they're luring me in. They're using Spender, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
They're using Jeffrey Spender to try and get me back onto a case. So it's like, give me a break. Cassandra is in hospital and Scully comes to see her, offers to take her out in the wheelchair, but she doesn't need one. So yeah, unless you'd forgotten, Cassandra was wheelchair bound, but not anymore. She's been fixed. She is no longer in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So they go for a walk. And Cassandra says this time she's only going to tell someone who she can trust. And Scully takes her to see Mulder, who's hanging around in a dodgy basement. All right. So she's very excited. So excited, in fact, that she might pee, as she says to Mulder, which I thought was quite funny and somewhat endearing. She tells them of the planned alien invasion and that Spender's life is in danger because her ex-husband is his father, in league with the aliens. Like the funny thing about this episode, right off the bat, is that normally people, like particularly Cancer Man, for example, they hold their cards really close to the chest, and they'll say things in ways that'll be like, could have double meanings and like, ooh, it gives you a hint at what the overarching mythology might be, but they never like, hammer it home. Whereas with this episode so far, all the major characters are just coming in and they're just laying it out. They're just like, it's almost like they're just spewing it out. Like they've got to tell people.
It's the worst kept secret ever. Have you heard about the alien invasion?
Yeah. So she says, Spender is Cancerman's son. He's in trouble because Cancerman is in league with the alien invasion. So she's just spewing it all out.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Cancerman talks of how Cassandra was the key to all of his plans. Says he should have killed her but couldn't do it. He also tells of the new threat, the faceless alien rebels, and how they had infiltrated their group. Now, the infiltration of his group is a new bit of information, but it's kind of tacked on to the old bit of information, which, again, like you say, recap 101 for people who didn't see Patient X and the Red and the Black. This is what I meant when I said to you at the end of last episode, when you asked me about this one, what's this one like? I said something along the lines of, it's really dense, but part of that denseness, the trouble with it is trying to filter out what is new information. Because we do get bits of new information during this episode, but it's so like tightly wadded into just exposition of all the stuff we already do know that it's almost like coming to it like a puzzle piece where you're trying to pick out, there's the nugget, that's the one we need. There's the other nugget, that's the one we need. Cancerman says that the syndicate has been infiltrated. Obviously, we saw that with the syndicate member getting burnt up. And then we see Krychek giving a briefing.
Yeah.
It's like smack bang in the middle of the syndicate. It's like, hang on, what's that? Krychek's a syndicate boy now? What? So the last time we saw Krychek, I mean, obviously the last time we saw him was when he was doing a number on Skinner, which was like 2 episodes ago, which appeared as if he was doing that under his own recognizance, like his that was his own thing. Little rat boy just out on his own trying to make a play. But the last time we saw him before that was in The End, and that's when Well Manicured Man and the Syndicate sent him to go and bring back Cancer Man. So clearly they kept him within the group, and he is now essentially a part of that. Although I never feel at any point during this 2-parter that he is a member of the Syndicate. He's not. He's basically their lapdog. It's just that
he's not been given a suit yet, so he's not fully part of the team. No, he's still like, just when he's giving his little speech, and he does say through it, "We need to fight the future."
Yes,
just a nice little
nod to the film.
Yeah.
So he's given a briefing, and a man who was killed, the syndicate member that was killed at his home, now sits amongst them. So clearly he is the infiltrator. He asks why they shouldn't side with the alien rebels, and Krychek spills the beans on the vaccine. Cancer Man tells him to shut up, because by that point he's clearly thinking, I'm not too sure about anyone here.
Yeah.
And now he's like just spilling the beans about the vaccine. And it's weird because the dialogue is very expositional.
Yeah.
But it's delivered in such a way that I kind of don't mind. I accept it, because it's done in conversation with all these people in the room. But it literally is just a way of recapping us on everything that's going on. Krychek's just spilling all this stuff, and it's like he's literally giving information to the rebels in that moment that perhaps
but he's also telling people that should know, like
yes, which is a bit weird. It's like but in that sense, it is the little upstart that comes into the big boys club. And kind of because he wants a seat at the table, I can imagine this happening. You know what I mean? I can imagine like when you have a bunch of
showing off it. He knows all the secrets almost.
Yeah. Like it's just it's his way of saying, look, I could easily be one of you guys. I know what you know. There's so in that respect, I kind of buy the exposition because of who it's coming from. Because of who it's coming from and the environment in which it's taking place, I can kind of buy it. And the exposition in this is coming so thick and fast that you don't have time to really pull it apart, and just you just kind of have to go along with it and play catch up with it. Like, okay, that all this information that they're giving us, I've heard that bit before. Blah, blah, blah. Mulder and Scully go to Spender's office. They check files on CGB Spender. So this is the name that Cassandra has given them. CGB Spender. Whether that's his real name is highly doubtful, but
I found this to be the most disturbing part of the episode, like the fact that Smoking Man had a name. Like, it's so unnerving. It's really, and it's so unnerving because it's such a bland name as well.
Yeah.
Spender.
Yeah.
You're just like, really?
Yeah. CGB Spender. So
yeah.
So Skinner gets them moving. He basically comes down. He's like, "Get your asses moving." Spender's on his way. But before they can get out of the office, Spender catches them and says he's going to get Mulder and Scully dismissed. So, yeah. Douchebag.
Yep.
Spender goes to see his father. I did for you, now you do for me. Truth about my mother. And he gets slapped for his trouble.
So good. You're just like, come on, do it again. Do it again.
He's all up in Cancer Man's face, and he's like, he's trying to make a power play and thinking he's he's all that, and Cancer Man just bitch slaps him.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Oh man. So, and he does get slapped twice because he says something else, and Cancer Man slaps him again. And then he's told, in no uncertain terms, that he pales in comparison to Fox Mulder.
Which we
like
know
a knife
more
just
than the
going-
slap.
Yeah. Those slaps he didn't feel them at all compared to
No.
that last jibe. But yeah.
Mhm.
Mulder is back shooting hoops by himself. Scully says that CGB is an alias. She has a box of everything she could find on him, including a photo of Cancer Man and Bill Mulder. Proof that Cassandra is the ex-wife to CGB, and CGB is father to Spender. Also, Cassandra was abducted for the first time on the same night as Mulder's sister. And Openshaw also worked with him. And Openshaw is now dead. So this is all the info that she just like flies at Mulder, which just seems to be every scene in this. In every scene in this episode, like somebody just unspooled a bucket full of information at someone.
Although I feel like this kind of information sparks ideas. Like it did to me. It's like these two were working on something. Had they to give up something close to themselves to like show their loyalty or whatever? And yeah, takes you down a dark avenue.
Yeah, we're starting to see the reasons for Samantha's abduction, reasons for Cassandra's abduction. Cancer Man says he couldn't stop Mulder any longer from learning his sins. He says he had one last hope to save his legacy, which, again, that's essentially what this is about. It's almost like Cancer Man in this is, in many ways, the protagonist. It's his. We're seeing it from his side. We're being let into the world of his creating. You know, like with regards to why the syndicate was formed, the work that they've done, the legacy that can be damaged is his legacy. So it's almost his story in many ways.
Yeah.
He meets with Spender and offers him a job. He gives him the bounty hunter weapon, which is the one that you use at the base of the neck. Tells him to kill the man who infiltrated his group, and Krychek drives him to the house.
Do you feel at any point that Spender is able to achieve this mission? He's not.
No, not at all.
And I think it becomes apparent during it that he is the distraction. Yeah.
I mean, I think this is a genuine test. I think Cancer Man is hoping that his son is going to prove himself. But
No, well, he's going to prove himself, just not in the way he wants.
Yeah. So he goes in and he bungles the job. Basically, I won't mind, but he sets it up beautifully. He does this nice distraction with the thing and with the paper where he drops it, and the syndicate members got to get to the floor. So he sets it up beautifully for him to just go right in the base of the neck.
Right.
But then he just bungles it because he takes.
Where the hell did Krychek come from? Where does he come from? Like,
he pops up behind.
like literally, he's just like he's there. He's like, boom! Look, one-handed Spender. Boom!
Oh man, it's perfect.
Unbelievable.
Perfect. Is it just me, or has Krychek become more efficient since he lost a hand?
Pretty much, yeah.
It's like he always used to get his ass handed to him from Mulder. And then in the red and the black, he's like, he beats him. He's like, I can beat you with one hand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's
And
broke into this house. He's somehow got into the room they're in behind him and just jumps out at the perfect moment, like, pow.
yeah. I mean, in all fairness, it's not taken much to break into this house. I imagine he's just come in through the front door, like moments after Spender's gone in with this guy, and he's but he's still got some mad ninja skills going. Now, this is my biggest gripe with this episode. This is the part that makes me go, "What the hell, guys? Come on, continuity."
The gas and the blood.
The gas.
Oh.
Yeah. So he takes this guy out. The guy, the alien rebel is on the floor, kind of bubbling away.
Yeah.
Spender and Krychek should be on the floor right now, going, my eyes.
Yep.
Pisses me off. Right, royally pisses me off. That just like,
because they focus on it as well. Like they show you it. Yeah.
Big time. Like, I get that they need to have this conversation that comes after, but I feel like as soon as Krychek does this guy, he should literally grab Spender by the shoulder and drag his ass out into the next room. Yeah. Like, there should be some coughing. You know, the guy should hit the deck and Spender should start going, and Krychek should grab him by the shoulder and just drag his ass outside. And then they can sit in a study somewhere and have the conversation. But the fact that he kills this guy and he's just bubbling away and they're just going to sit here and have a chat. I'm like, no freaking way. Like, continuity, guys. Come on. This is, every X-Files fan knows this. This is BS. Like, it's almost like a soft reboot for the newbies who've come to it after the movie. They don't know about that stuff. So we're not going to bother. It's like, yeah, but the frigging fans who've been there since day one do. So come on, sort yourselves out.
Even I noticed that, you know.
I know.
Like, I
exactly.
knew about the gas,
and you forget everything.
And I forget everything. Yeah.
Probably my one gripe, to be honest. I've got a minor gripe actually towards the end, which I find quite amusing more than anything else. But But other than that, this was my big gripe with it. Which the episode literally loses half a star because of this.
Ooh.
Yeah, because it's a big thing.
Yeah,
that's not just a small detail. That's a big detail. That's something that, with regards to continuity, you need to follow through on every time this happens.
I think back to the last time it really happened. It was one was shot in a hallway, and they had to rush out of the building. Yeah.
Well, that was in Emily. So that was that two-part episode with that child. But
they had to quickly get out of that hallway because it was toxic.
Yeah. They literally, like, because the detective goes down, then he's like,
Yeah.
So and he was shot from a distance down the corridor. Yeah. This is an up close and personal kill. It's just it pisses me off. Skinner goes to see Mulder and Scully, who tell him about the alien-human hybrid project. Skinner asks for proof. Spender is Cancerman's son. Skinner is shocked. Mulder posits that Cassandra is the first successful hybrid, but that the Syndicate want her dead rather than risk the truth getting out. Because if the truth gets out, hello, alien invasion.
I feel as if Skinner's always on the kind of, like, he's always holding information as if he knows certain things, but this genuinely seems to come as a surprise to him, and it almost like it almost pushes him even more over to the Scully Mulder side of things.
Yeah,
but then I wouldn't be surprised if in the next episode, like, he was just back to being his old usual self, denying everything, and like he did. No, like he did with Scully, where they're like, I wish I was there for you guys. I wish I could have helped you.
Yeah.
And then next minute, he's just the guy. Don't know
It's almost like he's a bit narked that he's had the wool pulled over his eyes. Like, you can tell he doesn't like Spender, and you can tell that he knows people in high places have put Spender where he is. But the fact that it's that guy's direct son.
Yeah.
That's like that's pissed me off. But
Yeah, it's the realization. But it also makes you wonder, what's the relationship between Skinner and this guy? Like, what does he think?
Skinner and Cancerman, or Skinner and
Like, what does he think he is? Like, is he just a guy with a lot of power and just do what he says and shut up? Is it?
I'm guessing he's like one of the directors at the FBI or something. It's probably like covert, or I don't know, CIA, something like that. I don't think the FBI get on too well, did they, with CIA? But,
no.
Yeah, it is weird that because we have scenes in which Skinner and Cancerman sit together in a room. So clearly Cancerman has been there for a reason. And so he could only do that if he is a higher up. So he must have a position of power within the FBI that is acknowledgeable to those in Skinner's position. Just don't know what that is.
Yeah.
So Krycek tells Spender about how Cancerman is responsible for the experiment on Cassandra, and he does it in the most kind of two-faced, like, "Oh, sorry, did I let that slip? Yeah. Oh, I thought you knew this." Kind of. It's like there's so much playing that Krycek does throughout this two-parter, where he's just like really playing people off each other.
Well, he's like the syndicate members, but just not as good. Like, you can see what he's doing, whereas the syndicate members can be a little bit more natural about it. He is quite apparent, quite almost ham-fisted with it, I'd say.
And it's also self-motivated as well. Like, I never feel like Krycek is interested in the grand master plan of the syndicate. I feel like he's more interested in how he can usurp it for his own ends, so to speak. Cancerman, as it turns out, is talking to none other than Diana Fowley.
Yeah. Yes. I didn't see it coming. I wasn't sure who he was talking to.
Right.
So I was eager to see.
Right. Conspicuous by her absence, perhaps, maybe. But yes, he's talking to Diana Fowley because she's the one who has never betrayed him. That's what he says to her. "You've never betrayed me." So, and at this point, are you still on the fence with regards to is she playing double team, or is she a double agent kind of who's secretly in Mulder's pocket, or double agent is secretly in Cancerman's pocket?
No, I think she's her own
who's secretly
thing.
In her own pocket. Yeah,
and in her own pocket, I think.
So Cassandra has gone from her hospital room when Skinner looks in. Spender shows up, surprised, says he took her, then makes a phone call. By he, obviously, he's referring to his dad. So Cassandra, as it happens, goes to Mulder's. She kind of bursts into Mulder's apartment. She's all hysterical and frenetic. And Mulder and Scully are like, whoa, calm down, what's going on? And she's like, no, you've got to kill me. You've got to kill me now. And then a banging starts on the door, and it's like the banging starts getting more and more frenetic. And this is what I was saying about my, it's not a gripe, it's more just a comment, because I actually started laughing with the banging on the door. Because it's like, the banging is so frenetic and so like, and like they're using the banging of the door to kind of ramp up the tension as to whether or not Mulder's going to shoot Cassandra, and is he gonna or is he not, and it's like, who's on the other side of the door? And so they're just using that banging to ramp up the tension, but it's played so heavy-handedly that it's like
this sequence is full of tension, because you're like, how much is Mulder going to miss her by? Will it be a foot? Will he miss her by a good couple of meters. She's so close. Like there's no chance he's hitting her. It's a stationary target a few feet away.
She should have given the gun to Scully. She'd have more chance.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's where we come out. That's where we end. So wrap up.
On you go. I'll let you wrap up if you want this one.
Yeah, I mean, I love this stuff. I live for this stuff. Like, as an X-Files fan, this is right up my street. I know that there's stuff in here that that could be criticised quite heavily, particularly the Basil exposition on every level. The fact that so much old ground is kind of being gone over again. But I feel like it's done that intentionally to. Like I say, they're wrapping a lot of stuff up with this two-parter, and I feel like they've pulled out all the bits that they feel is important within the mythology. They've stuck them in here to remind us of where we need to be at so that they can wrap it up in part two. And I just, like I say, I love the fact that so much stuff is just being spewed out and reminding you just how dense and thick this mythology is and how complicated it is. I always love Krychek being in an episode. While I don't like Spender, and while Cassandra isn't necessarily a favourite character of mine, I do like them being in episodes because I feel like it ramps up everything else that's around them. I feel like if they're there, then you know some bigger stuff is going down, and it also sets up scenes where we do get to see Cancer Man bitch slapping his son. Yeah. I just wish that for continuity's sake, like I say, it loses that half a star as a result. That was a big continuity error. The thing with the gas, I felt it was lazy. Really, I felt like they just didn't want to move out into another scene in order to play out the conversation that comes after. So they just sent, sod it, and that to me is just lazy. It's quite a crucial part of the mythology with regards to continuity. Get them out of that room. It wouldn't have taken 10 seconds to just have Krychek drag him out, have the conversation in the next room over. But beyond that, yeah, I loved it. 4.5 out of 5.
Right. I'm not the mythology guy, you know. I'm just not. I enjoyed this episode though because I feel like it is thick and fast. Like you're getting so much stuff. I like Cancer Man. It feels almost confessional when he's talking. He's, you know, I still don't know if he's telling us the truth. I just don't trust the guy, and that kind of is a nice narrative to it. It really does feel like a conclusion of the mythology. Like it really does, because it does pull in lots of things. The only thing it's missing is Budget Terminator, which would have been great if we'd get him back just for a moment or two, because I just feel like that's such a great character. But we focus on a lot of characters that I don't enjoy in this episode. Okay. You know, Spender.
Like Cassandra.
I don't like him. Cassandra, I don't like him. Like her. I mean, Spender does have a really good sequence when he gets slapped twice. Like I really was invested in. Thought that was great. Overall, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay. I will say something that we didn't really touch on that I did like was seeing from the first person's perspective of Spender being brought into that world. We didn't really talk about it, and it's actually quite a huge part of the episode. It's Spender's eyes being opened, because up until this point he doesn't believe in aliens. He's happy to shred X-Files because he don't believe in it. He thinks it's all nonsense. So to be face to face with this thing and seeing his reaction, it's like it is a turning point for the character. It is like that is the point from which Spender will no longer be the same, and it's like whether that's for the better or for the worse. You know, it's debatable as to whether or not he could get much worse. But I think it's something you miss because you are on such a hate train for Spender, which is that moment is actually quite crucial, and just seeing anyone really being brought into that world of the the conspiracy of the of the syndicate, where they've been tasked with taking out one of these aliens by their own hand. Admittedly, they cocked it up, but it's like, I mean, I would, to be honest, if I was tasked to do that, I'd cock it up. I don't want to kill someone. So, I do think it that is one of the strengths of the episode is seeing this dude who, we don't like him and he doesn't believe in any of this stuff, but seeing him have his eyes opened to it all in a very real way, because he's confronted with things that he just simply can't deny from that point on. So I did like that aspect of it as well. So, but 4.5 out of 5 from me, 4 out of 5 from you. And
So give us a little flavour of what One Son will be like, a little spoiler free.
So obviously this one was called Two Fathers because we had the photograph with the two fathers on. We got Bill Mulder, we got Cancer Man, and next episode is called One Son because it focuses in on a particular son. Now, which son that is,
Mulder.
I'm not going to mention because it could be.
Oh,
it might not be.
It better be.
Because
if it's bloody Spender. Oh.
I will say Spender features very heavily in the episode. I will also say that there is the return of a particular character that you may need reminding of who it is when we actually watch the episode. But yeah, it's again, I think it's a satisfying conclusion to this episode.
Okay.
So
right, to go back to an earlier point, I've had a quick check and
go on.
Open Shaw. Would you like me to list out all the episodes that he's in?
Yeah, go on, fire off.
Two Fathers.
Okay.
So anyway,
nice one. Excellent.
I am now.
You don't remember characters who are flipping in all of
the series.
Dude, you need to get checked. You seriously need to get checked.
Yeah. Great. So there we have it.
Okay.
We'll see you next week when we go to review One Son, which I'm kind of looking forward to, seeing where it finishes off, because I do feel like, as you've said, and I'm leading that way now, that it's a kind of finale for this mythology, which will be interesting, because that'll be a hard balancing trick, I think. Yeah. So we'll see. So if you don't mind rating us, whatever YouTube podcast service you're watching or listening on, that would be fantastic. Allow other people to discover our channel, and we'll see you next week for more X-Files Revisited.